So as you can see, in a torrential downpour, we have a bit of an issue. This is really low right here where this flower bed is. There's rocks right there that are in the water. You can see the pop-up right there is full, and the water that's coming out of there is coming from this downspout here and the one over by the garage. Also, over where the parking pad is, you can see how much underwater it is over there. Well, as this fills up, it runs all the way down here, and then it runs down the middle of my backyard all the way to my neighbor's fence, and you can see it running right there all the way down the fence line and across. We've also got a downspout there that actually pops up right in that area right there. So we're gonna have to figure this thing out. I think I've got an idea of how I'm gonna address this. We have a big rain today, tomorrow, and then we've got the remnants of that hurricane that's coming through, and so it's gonna dump a bunch of water here on Thursday. So the good thing is I haven't seeded yet, but the bad thing is that I need to address this before I seed. But like I said, I think I've got some ideas on how I'm gonna address this so that it doesn't cause a problem, at least until after the seed has established, which means I'm gonna need at least a month and a half of solution to this issue before I plant anything. But we've got time. I wasn't planning on seeding for at least another week and a half, so I think I'm okay for now. But you see what a mess this is back here, and it's only gonna get worse. And especially now that I actually killed off all the grass, there's nothing but dirt. So I'm really concerned about all the washout of the little bit of dirt that I do have right now. But it's just a mess. We'll figure it out. What's going on, folks? If you joined us for the last video, you saw all the things that we did over on the side yard to mitigate all of the drainage issues that we had from our AC. Today I want to show you some of the things that we did in the rest of the backyard in order to prep for the seeding. As you saw in the beginning of the video, we have a major drainage problem when it comes to heavy rains in this backyard, mostly because of the way that we have all of our downspouts working and where they're coming down, and then we had pop-ups so that they could get away from our foundation. So one of the things that I worked on this weekend with my wife was we wanted to go ahead and work on some prep work around the house, make sure that we have things in place so that once we have the seed down, we're not destroying anything during the off season or in the spring. The idea behind doing this renovation back here and in the front of the yard is to get things ready now so that when the spring comes around, it's got an opportunity for the lawn to thrive. So let me show you around a little bit, show you some of the things that we did, some of the things that we changed. You guys have seen my backyard, you've seen some of the things that we've done, and the biggest thing that we did this past spring was that we put in irrigation. And while they did a pretty good job with irrigation, there were some things that they didn't do as good of a job, so I had to correct those things. And then also we had to come in and redistribute some of our plants so that they are in a better position and so that they help and not hurt our drainage issues back here. So let me take you around and show you some of the things that we did back here. So for starters, one of the things that we did was we changed all of our valve boxes that are in the ground from our irrigation. There's one here, and then there's one way over there. And the reason why we changed these valve boxes was because they were not in a good position. They were actually sitting kind of tilted. When it rained heavy, they were underwater and they were getting full of water, and it was a pretty big mess. When I changed these, as you can see from this video, you can see how muddy it is and how the water doesn't drain. So that means that every time that it rained, water would fill up in there and it would stay for a good long time. The other thing that we did was we changed this pop-up a little bit and we raised it because it was low. And this is where the majority of water comes out of. It comes out of two different places. There's a downspout right there, and then there's also another downspout on the other side of the house. And this whole area was really, really low. So what we did was my wife and I took all the plants that were here, we moved this umbrella out of that corner and we moved it over here. And then we distributed all of the plants to two different places. One place was right here, and then the other place is over there in that back corner. So while we're over here, as you guys can see, there is a blue PVC mesh hose that comes out of our downspout. The reason why I put that in there was because I do not want water coming out of that downspout and going to that pop-up after I seed this backyard. Because as you saw in the beginning video, how much water's in here. So we had to raise all of this area up with dirt. And once we get the seed in, I do not want a washout like we did in the spring, because that was a total mess. So this was one place that we did that, and we have this hose running all the way to the front of the house. And then we also have this downspout that also ties in to that same pop-up, and we have it coming out right over here as well. I did a little bit of engineering, if you want to call it that, to put these hoses together and to redirect them. The pipes are still in place. I didn't want to remove them, but I definitely wanted the water to come out. And again, this is just a temporary solution so that we can mitigate any excessive water. If we get any major downpours back here, that the water will actually go through. Now, it rained today. I was kind of hoping that it would get a good downpour so I could see if this thing worked or not. But so far, I think it's okay. Time will tell. Unfortunately, this will be one of those tests during production, as a friend of mine who's in IT had said to me. So, you know, hopefully it works, and if it doesn't, we'll have to deal with it at that point. So coming back over here, I want to show you some of the landscaping that my wife did. She actually did a really good job. This is all her right here. She moved all those plants over, made it look really nice, and fluffed up a bunch of the mulch. And then we will put some more mulch in the fall. We haven't done anything with the dirt back here yet. That's to come so that we can prep for all of the seeding. But when you look down this path right here, this is where all that underwater area was. And then one of the things that we're doing is that we introduced a bunch of dirt to raise that area right there. And then we're also gonna add a bunch of dirt to raise that area way back there. Once that's in place, I think that we'll have mitigated a lot of the drainage issues, along with the work that we did back here, which I showed you in our last video. Here's the other valve box that we replaced, and then we also fixed a lot of the drainage issues. This is very, very dry now that we redirected the condensation line. So between all the things that we did here that I'm showing you, I think that we are ready for our seeding project. I mean, we've got a lot of work to do still before we can get the seed down, but one of my big worries was that we were going to have a major mess like we did in the spring, where we had a bunch of runoff, and all that work of seeding and aerating and doing everything else that we're going to be doing just goes down the drain because we didn't prepare for it. These are all the things that we did in order to prepare for this fall renovation. These are things that I didn't do in the spring that I should have done, but quite frankly, I was brand new to this house. I had no idea where water would be traveling. I knew that I had tilled up a bunch of soil, especially knowing that there's a lot of clay right here, but I thought we had done a pretty good job to make sure that things would run the right way. But we learned a lot of things throughout the season, and especially with all the rain, and especially when we saw all of that runoff in the spring after our first seeding. So we learned some lessons. I also spent a lot of time in the summertime watching to see how things reacted whenever we had really heavy rains. So I think we're in good shape, but obviously time will tell. We need this lawn to be seeded and growing as soon as possible. The weather looks fantastic. In fact, we just had a little tiny rainstorm. It was a little tiny cool front that went through. Tomorrow morning is supposed to be 54 degrees. We're supposed to have sunny and cool-ish weather over the next week or so. So that's gonna be like perfect timing for us to get the rest of this work done. Only time will tell. We've still got a lot of work to do before this project is over, but this is where we are, and this is where we can start really doing this project. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if I've earned your subscription. And if you want to be notified of future videos, don't forget to hit that bell, and we will see you on the next one.